All right, let's get into it. We're going to look at a really cool story about how someone turned a huge financial hurdle into a massive opportunity. We're talking about building real estate wealth. And get this, starting with just 50 grand.
You ever feel this way, just completely priced out of the real estate market? I mean, for so many of us, the dream of owning investment property, it feels impossible, right? You look at the prices in your own city and the numbers just don't work. It's like the door is slammed shut. But here's a thought. What if the problem isn't how much money you have, but where you're looking?
Okay, just look at this contrast. It's pretty wild. On one hand, you got a place like Southern California. A $200,000 down payment, and that's just the down payment, might get you a 5% return. Maybe. But then look at Detroit. For just 50 grand all in, you can buy and fix up a property and see returns into double digits. Think about that for a second. For the price of one down payment in California, you could own 4 houses, outright, free and clear in Detroit. That's a game changer.
All right, I know what you're thinking. Investing from 1,000 miles away? Isn't that super risky? And yeah, you're right to be cautious. It absolutely requires a ton of trust and a really, really good team on the ground. So, to see how it's actually done, and done right, we're going to follow the journey of an educator who did just that. She took the leap.
So, of all places, why Detroit? Well, the city has been kind of quietly becoming this hotspot for single-family rental homes. Let's dig into what makes it such a unique opportunity right now.
You know, Detroit's advantage really boils down to a perfect storm of 4 things. First, you've got this incredible rent-to-price ratio. The numbers just make sense. Then, the entry point is low, like we said, around $50,000 all in. On top of that, there's a strong potential for these properties to go up in value over the long haul. And finally, there's just a huge inventory of these classic, sturdy homes that are pretty much perfect for renting out.
And this is where we get to the heart of it all. I want you to meet Pam. She's our investor. Pam's an educator, she's getting close to retirement, and, like so many people, she was looking for a way to build up an extra income stream to make those retirement years a little more comfortable.
And Pam's situation, it's just so relatable, isn't it? She says it herself. She always wanted to invest in property, but her local market in California, just way too expensive. But then she started looking at properties in Detroit, places that cost less than a new car, and suddenly, this whole new world of possibility just cracked wide open.
And her goal was super clear from the start. This is really important. She wasn't looking to become a landlord, dealing with calls in the middle of the night. Nope. She wanted a hands-off, passive investment that would just generate a reliable, supplemental income. Something to give her security and freedom in retirement. And having that clear goal, well, it guided every single decision she made.
Okay, so this is where the rubber meets the road. Let's dive into her very first investment, what we'll call the Mackey Street Project. And I'll tell you right now, it was not a straight line to success. Not at all.
So on the surface, this deal looked perfect. I mean, a turnkey rental for 45 grand with a tenant already in place? It seemed like the absolute perfect, easiest way to get into the market. But you know how these things go. As soon as Pam and her team started to dig a little deeper, they realized the reality was very different.
And this whole process, it just shows you the power of doing your homework. So, step 1, the offer comes in, looks amazing. But then, step 2, red flags start popping up all over the place. The tenant's actually leaving, there's an unpaid water bill, problems. Step 3, they almost walked away from the whole thing, but instead, they renegotiated the price down from $45,000 to $37,000. Big win. Step 4, this is the pivot, the tenant leaves, which they knew was coming, and that triggers a rehab that they had planned for, about $11,000 worth. And step 5, the final outcome, a completely rehabbed property ready for a new, and most importantly, a reliable tenant.
So the house is ready. Next up, find a tenant. Now the first plan was to rent it for $1,000 a month. They got 20 applicants, but 0 of them qualified. Ouch. This is where that expert, on-the-ground advice becomes crucial. They pivoted and decided to accept a Section 8 tenant. That's a government rental assistance program for a bit less, $866 a month. And the result? A reliable tenant with 100% of the rent guaranteed to be paid by the housing authority. That is huge.
So after all that, right, the sketchy seller, the tenant leaving, the unexpected rehab, after navigating all those challenges, what was the final result? What was the return? A stunning 13.85%. 13.85% cash-on-cash return. That is just incredible.
Let's quickly look at the numbers so you can see how we got there. The total investment all in was about $53,000. That generated an annual net operating income of around $7,300. You do the math and boom, there's your fantastic 13.85% return. I mean, try finding a number like that in most other markets. It's almost unimaginable.
But you know, Pam's story doesn't just end with one successful rental property. Not even close. Her journey actually became the blueprint for something much, much bigger. A new model that can turn one person's investment into an opportunity for an entire community. And that brings us to a classic problem for any real estate investor, right? All your money, all your equity is tied up in the property. So how do you get access to some of that cash without having to sell the whole thing? Well, the answer is pretty cool, and it's all about working together.
The solution is called fractional ownership. Here's how it works. The original investor, like Pam, can sell off small shares, little pieces of the property's LLC, to other people. This is brilliant because it lets her get some of her cash back out, and at the same time, it allows new investors to get into the real estate game for as little as, say, $500 and just start earning passive dividends. It's a win-win.
And for retail investors like Sally, this model is the dream. I mean, listen to what she says. She's just sitting around getting my dividends every quarter. She has no concerns. That's the definition of passive income, right? No dealing with tenants, no worrying about repairs, just quarterly dividends showing up.
For other folks, like Greg, it's really about the trust and the transparency. He says the communication was key, and that's what gave him the confidence not just to invest his money, but to feel like he was part of a community where he could continue to learn and do business.
And then you have investors like Lorraine. And for her, this was about something even bigger than the financial return. It was a chance to partner with a Black investment company and know that her money was actively supporting wealth building right there in the Black community. It's investing with a purpose.
And really, that's the whole point. This model is about so much more than just one person's ROI. It's about something called cooperative economics. It's this powerful idea that a whole community can achieve way more by pooling their resources and then sharing in the success together. Which brings us right back to where Pam is now. Her vision has grown so much. She says she has this vision of an entire street where everyone is working together, collectively, to improve our communities one street at a time. It's no longer about just one house. It's about a collective of people revitalizing neighborhoods together.
So you see the arc here, right? It's this powerful journey. It starts with a single investor and her practical need for retirement income. It grows into a successful investment, and it blossoms into this huge collective vision for building community wealth.
So yeah, it all started with one investor who felt totally priced out of the market, but it ends with this much, much bigger question. A question that really challenges all of us to rethink how we invest, who we invest with, and what we can really build together. Just imagine that for a second. What if a community could own a whole street? What would that change?